like to officially welcome our panelists. We have three very brave and wonderfully courageous women who have chosen to be panelists for us this evening and field our questions. One of which is Alexa Jackson, the second, Benita Lindberg, and third with us is Heather Fairley. So I am going to hand it over to each of these wonderful women just to share a little bit about themselves with us so we can get to know them, and then we will go from there. So Alexa, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Alexa. I'm an adjuster in Central Recovery. You may also know me from the Care Center. I've been in banking for a lot of years. I also do taxes. I'm the mom of two girls. They are here, but they're not coming in this room. And I'm just happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alexa, and thanks for being one of our panelists this evening. Benita.
Hi, everybody. I'm Benita Lindberg. I am the Director of Human Resources for Tompkins Financial. I just celebrated my 5th anniversary with the company, and will admit to anybody who will hear me that I'm sorry I waited too long to join Tompkins. I've really enjoyed my short tenure so far and wish I'd found this place earlier. I'm a rare breed from the standpoint that I have my college degree in an HR related field. And it's the only thing I've ever done with my life. All different industries, traveled in around the globe doing it, but the only thing I know is HR. And some people have said to me, have you seen it all? And I will say, no, I haven't seen it all and I haven't heard it all. And that comes true about every other week in our business. We see and hear something we hadn't heard before. I'm the mother of 3 adult daughters. So the topic and many of your questions that we're talking about tonight are some of the issues we've talked about at our own dinner table. And I also am the proud grandma of two great kids. I'm Nona to 3-year-old Declan and 1-year-old Charlie May. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Benita. And I can't believe it's been 5 years already. That's actually gone kind of fast. So, all right. And last but certainly not least, Miss Heather Fairley.
Hi, I'm Heather Fairley. I'm in the IRA HSA department. I have been in the department for almost four years now. Before that, I actually started as a temp in items processing, and Stacy hired me in there. My background really is customer service, though. I worked at Tops for almost 10 years in customer service. I was the assistant manager, doing bookkeeping and all of that for them. I have 3 daughters. I'm a single mom to 3 daughters. They're 16, 13, and 7. So they're definitely my girls. And yeah, these topics have all been talked about with my daughters at the dinner table as well. We've discussed a lot of this because it's definitely important topics to make sure that you're known and seen. Definitely raising girls, so it's been pretty fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Heather, for sharing with us, and thank you for being here as a panelist for us tonight. So I'm going to get us started with our very first question, and the way that we've structured this is any one of our panelists can answer the question. They can all answer the question. Again, very informal and conversational. So the first question that came in through registration is, what is the best advice you have received in your career journey?
So Stacy, I'll kick it off. The best advice I have received actually has nothing to do with HR specifically, but it was to really focus to build and nurture your network. In the olden days, before we did a lot electronically, everybody had a Rolodex, which was Stephanie's shaking her head. She knows what I mean there. You literally had a place to you exchanged business cards and you literally had a place to keep them. And it would be your way to remember who to contact for what. today we do a lot of that electronically. But I had a mentor that said to me, it's the most valuable piece of office equipment you'll have is your Rolodex. And I have learned that over the years, just how tremendously valuable it is, not only to have business contacts that you reach out to for specific reasons, or sometimes it's just because you need somebody to bounce an idea off of, or you're looking for a confidant. And then also expand your network into other businesses, not just in the profession of HR, but in other worlds and other industries. And that proved to be incredibly valuable to me about 7 or 8 years ago. I'd been with a company for 25 years and was took an early retirement package. My job was basically restructured out of the organization. I was at the time had enough service to retire, but I was too young. I wanted to go back to work, and I'm like, all right, now what do I do? I don't want to leave the Ithaca area. And had it not been for the network who literally helped connect me to various people and businesses, I would have never found my next opportunity.
Great.
I'll go-
Alexa or Heather, do you want to
Sure,
answer?
I'll go next. The best advice that I ever got in my career journey was learning how to say no. Sometimes women have the tendency to be people pleasers, to take on more than what they can handle. So the best advice I got was to learn how to say no to, things that just are not going to be a good fit for me, different situations, and get comfortable with, the discomfort of disappointing someone by not being able to do something for them. So I think the best advice was just, it's going to be a no this time.
I think the best advice I've ever gotten was to treat everyone equally. No matter where they stand in the company, everyone is the same from the bottom to the top. You just don't, just because they wear a different uniform than you does not mean that they're any different than you, and to just respect everyone the same.
That is great. Thank you all for sharing on that question. So again, as a reminder, if you have a question, you can raise your hand, put it in the chat, or just unmute yourself. So the next question that we have that was submitted ahead of time was, what have you found to be the most challenging as a woman in your career or profession?
I can take that one first. I think the most challenging is trying to balance kids and trying to be a mom and trying to work and be in 10 places at one time sometimes. Like, there's soccer games, there's softball games, there's, a work project that needs to be done, tax forms that need to get out. Like, sometimes you're just being pulled in a million different ways. And like Alexa said, being able to say no, but being a mom, it's hard to be a mom and trying to work. Very difficult.
Did the panel think, I'm going to just ask my question, it's harder to be a mom than it is to be a dad? Do you think the expectation still is that mom is the one to take care of everything? And there's men here, so I mean, they may feel differently.
Deb, I do. One of the, Stacy, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to color outside the lines here. But somebody asked the question coming into this in advance of what advice would you give a male colleague on how to be a good ally for women in the workplace? I loved this question. I will tell you, one of my favorite nonfiction books was written by Sheryl Sandberg, and it's called Lean In. In fact, this year for Christmas, all 3 of my daughters got a copy of it. And so to paraphrase what Sheryl Sandberg said when she was asked the same question is, what do you tell the men? Do the dishes, help with the housework, take care of the kids. Because despite how far women have come in business, they still bear the lion's share of the family side of the equation. So while you have two people in my house, you have two people that are going off to work, we have equally important jobs. As we were raising our children, the majority of the housework and those things fell to me. I was raised in a very traditional home, and I was scripted that women did these things. And I have a great husband. He's great with the laundry, but don't ask him to cook a meal. You'll starve to death. So, it was out of balance. And so I would say, Deb, in answer to your question, yes. And, to what Heather said, that's part of the challenge that we have.
Oh, my turn. The most challenging thing for me was many years ago, I had an issue with like believing in myself and my capabilities when it comes to like different things in the workplace. Like, I had a great education, I had good experience, but going into different tasks, it was just like, oh no, I'm gonna really mess this up. What's gonna happen when the bottom falls out? And then one day the bottom did fall out, but it was fine because I was prepared. So being empowered and believing in yourself was something that I had to work towards in my career.
I'm going to interrupt again. So, Benita, Heather, and Alexa, did you find yourself, because I've been in banking almost 40 years, and so did you find yourself throughout your career being thankful for your raise or thankful for your bonus, finding yourself being overly thankful for being acknowledged? I know that was a fault of mine, and still to this day, it's sort of a fault, like you were not deserving of that. Did you feel like that during your career? Have you found yourself doing that, maybe even today?
So I just got the Platinum Award, the VIP Platinum Award for my volunteering with Banking on a Cure and United Way. And I don't feel like I am the only one who deserves it. I had a great team behind me that helped me with everything as well. So and then I just got it now, and I was nominated in first quarter of 2020. So it kind of I didn't do anything last year for any of it because of the pandemic. And I just I don't feel like that was all on me. I didn't do it alone. So I shouldn't have been the only one to be recognized. So Carrie's on my team, Bill's on my team. People in headquarters have ate our food and sponsored us. And, so I mean, I don't like when I'm recognized for different things like that. It's just, to me, it's just what I do. I enjoy doing it, and it's fun stuff. So helping a customer out, I got nominated before for helping a customer, but with the IRAs and HSAs, I was walking through the branch and a CSR had a customer with an IRA question, and it was pretty difficult, and I walked right over and helped her, but it was because I knew it and she didn't. I wasn't at my desk to answer her phone call. It was just helping customers out. We're in customer service. That's what we're supposed to do. So I didn't think anything of it, and it meant the world to her. So I was like, just doing my job, I don't know. You're supposed to help people. So yeah, I don't like recognition. It's nervous. I'm really nervous talking to you guys right now because it's just, I don't know. I'm just me. When Red was like, I think Red reached out to me, and I was like, I'm just me. So it's really weird to hear how people see me compared to how I see myself, like Alexa was saying, just to empower yourself. So something I'm working on.
Do I feel appreciative? Yes. But I don't think overly, that part has not crossed my mind when I do a lot of self-reflection. I will absolutely echo what Heather and Alexa had said, and it's that, am I good enough question that you face. I was standing one time, we had a senior leadership meeting, and I was standing with my colleagues, and so we have three out of 11 of us are women, and we were talking with Steve Romaine, and he was so surprised when all three of us said we sometimes doubt whether or not we have the ability to do the job he hired us for. And he's like, what? He goes, I can't believe you. And all three of us said throughout our career, we have had moments where we say, am I good enough? And as I said, he was shocked by that, because it's just not something. The public persona is one of confidence. And he was surprised to hear all three of us acknowledge that throughout our career, despite the best opportunities and the best encouragement, it's just the way we are all hardwired. And when I talk about those conversations with my daughters, it's one thing that I really try to instill in them. I see some of it, and I don't want them to be who I am. I want them to know that they have the skills, they have the education, and to stand up and to advocate for themselves.
I definitely agree wholeheartedly with what Benita said. Back to Deb's question. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I am so even that I'm happy when I'm up and I'm happy when I'm down. So different things like that kind of just doesn't really strike me like that. Like I'm happy either way. So no.
All right, before I throw out another question, do we have any questions that you guys want to ask? And Deb, thank you for just asking, like, perfect.
I have kind of a statement, and I'm mostly addressing it to Heather only because I don't know Benita and Alexa, and so I can't really speak to what they just said, but on I can't even remember now, banking on a Q, and I feel like what Heather had to say exactly addresses what Deb was asking, in that Heather doesn't think she's done anything special. And I will say she's wrong. Heather, I've been through other leadership on that group. And what you've done as a leader in that group is not normal. It is special. And I think if I was interpreting Deb's question correctly, and I think from the way that both Benita and Alexa also answered it, is feeling like you're grateful because you don't deserve it. And you do deserve that award. I've seen your work, and I'm sorry to embarrass you because I know you're getting uncomfortable, but I think that's exactly the point that Deb was trying to make, is like, do you feel like you don't deserve it? And I think we've all been places, and I have my stories too, but one of the most valuable things I've learned recently is to acknowledge when I've done a good job to myself, even if I don't acknowledge it to anyone else, to say, hey, I did something really good and I'm proud of myself for it. So I hope that, as all employees, but I think we as women often tend to do it less, we need to acknowledge when we do a good job. That's all. Sorry for embarrassing you, Heather.
I'm gonna say something else. I'm gonna echo what Carrie said. The reason why I reached out to Heather is because I've known her for the last 2 years, and everything she does, I'm always impressed with how she finds first how she finds the time to do a lot of things she does. But like everything she tries to do, she's tried to do to perfection, which even more impressive. I think that's a quality that not many people have. I think she should be proud of herself of what she accomplished, and I think her future is bright, and she's gonna like, accomplish a lot of great things in the future for sure. Sorry to embarrass you.
Thank you, guys.
It's hard to take a compliment, right? I've had to struggle with that too. Like, as somebody even says, like, "Oh, your hair looks nice." Like, "Oh no, this okay? Like, this is fine." Like, no, this I don't even know what happened, right? But I think one thing that I'm, just heard that sparks and goes off. Benita already brought up the question, but is about men being strong allies in their work, right? With identifying opportunities to either bring equality to the table or just to support women. And, I think the reason that the timing feels perfect for this question is, Red, you identifying, right, the talent in Heather and taking, not just seeing it, but taking the leap, right? Taking that step to reach out to her and encourage her to participate. That to me is phenomenal allyship, in any direction, whether it's a male to a female, female to a male, right? Female to female, like it doesn't matter. But I think helping somebody see their talent, right? When maybe they brush it off as this is just who I am, and really encouraging them to move outside of perhaps their comfort zone. So I'm just going to go to that question. And Benita, you started it earlier, and the opportunity with Red, you mentioning that you reached out directly. I just feel like it's a great time to kind of talk about that a little bit. What can we do to be good allies, right? And I don't think it's just men being allies. I think sometimes women miss opportunities to be allies for women, right? And some of that, I know I've been in that position before where I think maybe they don't want my help, or maybe I'm, overstepping my boundaries, or I don't want to sound like a know-it-all, or I don't want to feel like, you find a million excuses as to why you don't perhaps do that phone call that Red did, right? So I just thought maybe that would be a good time. This would be a good time to maybe say, well, how can males and females be better allies? Benita, you gave some thoughts around this earlier when you mentioned it. I don't know if Alexa or Heather, you have any thoughts around that question.
So I know I have a coworker, and I'm going to put Carrie on the spot. And we were supporting her because she, what was it? She was interviewing for PDP. So she dressed up in a suit, and it isn't her normal. So she was like, Heather, do you have a suit? And so we got everyone in the department to like dress up like top notch that day at work, so that she didn't feel left out being like the only one in the suit. It was something, she wanted to do that. So, we encouraged her. She had the interview, and, we all just helped her with it. I think it's always good. Like, she stepped out of her comfort zone by wearing something like that, and we all supported her in doing it. I like to, decorate crazy for Christmas and, do the whole Halloween costumes, and I get the whole department in on it. They all support me in it. And it's nice to know that you have people you can lean on, because nowadays it's really hard, definitely like within your department and other departments. I know like Bill, on this call right now, he was my go-to for different things for banking on a cure. He was good with all the tech stuff. It's really good to just know each other, and I mean, just support, like you want to be an ally, but just the littlest things. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Just to give credit You know, if you see someone do something, you know, just tell them they did a good job or ask if they need help. You know, if you do see someone struggling, step in and help. Because sometimes, especially women, we don't ask for help. It's always, I got it, I got it. Like Alexa said, it's hard to say no sometimes. And I was really guilty of that forever until the pandemic. But it's, you know, just if you see someone struggling, just say hi. Just help if you can in any way. Sometimes you'll get a no. You know, if there is something you can do and you know you can do it, just do it without even asking. And just recognize that sometimes girls have feelings and it doesn't make us weak either. Like I know sometimes I get upset and if I'm like crying, you know, don't baby me because I'm crying. But you know, like, yeah, girl, I have a lot of feelings and sometimes they're bigger than other times. And don't look at me like I'm weird because I'm crying at my desk or, you know, like we tend to show our feelings a lot more. But it doesn't make us weak either. So
You know, I think picking up on what Heather said, there's all of us have lots of opportunities to bring other people into, whether it be a work project or a community service, and it's so easy to go back to the same people all the time. And so if you have the chance, you step back, you look at the organization, you look at your network, and you think about who might benefit from an experience, who might have a skill set that we hadn't thought about, who might lend a voice that's different from what everybody else is thinking, and to invite them to participate because they may not be the person that raised their hand, but they may be somebody who can either we as the rest of the project team or they as an individual or both can grow from that experience. We may all expand our network through it. So I think it's a matter of being very prescriptive about it, very intentional about who are you reaching out to and who are you including so that people have those opportunities.
Benita took half my answer, so here's the other half. For colleagues in the workplace, as far as being a support, I would say that use your soft skills, you know, listen, be empathetic, be encouraging, but also be empowering in all situations with all of your coworkers. And I like to tell my brothers and my dad, you know, sometimes I don't need a solution. I just need someone to listen or, you know, hear me talk it out. So you don't always have to come in and play the man role and solve the problem. Sometimes it's just being that listening ear that means so much to someone. So that would be, I guess, my best advice for like, you know, making it level in the workplace.
Those are all great takeaways. And, you know, I think constantly reminding yourself, I love the concept of just expanding who you go to, right? Bringing in different people and the thought of giving somebody an opportunity to learn something new, expand their skill set, you know, strengthen a talent that they naturally have. Because we're not always the first to raise our hands. So sometimes having somebody else give us a nudge or an invitation makes all the difference in the world to actually getting to the table. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Can I just jump in for a second? One thing in relation to that, and I heard Benita speak it too. One of the challenges, and I'm so for people that don't know me, I'm the project portfolio manager. So I'm working on projects all the time. So I'm working with a lot of different people. One of the challenges I have, and I've seen other people have, is, and it goes back to Benita's also part of her networking, is knowing that the people out there that you might reach out to that might have a skill or something like that. and not being aware that there are these people out here that might be able to help you, or you might be able to, they might just be interested, and it's an opportunity for them to learn things of that nature. So I found that a real challenge, not just in this organization, but every organization. I think there's a lot of people out in this organization that I haven't reached out to yet that may be interested in project management, that maybe have skills in certain areas where they help a project team, things of that nature. And, just trying to figure out how to reach all those people is a real challenge, and knowing who's out there. I don't really have an answer for it, but just one observation from the work that I've been doing.
That's a great point, Bill. And I think it's even harder in this current environment, right? Where we're not casually running into new people or meeting each other in a lunchroom or an office, space. It's much more difficult to know who is talented in what way, or who may be interested in expanding their talent in a certain way and being able to offer those opportunities. So I think, to me, that's also another great opportunity, right, for promoting other people, from the sense of, hey, Bill, you might not know Alexa, but I know Alexa, and I know she'd be great. So I'm going to recommend that you talk to her or get the two of you connected. So again, that kind of comes back to the networking and the allyship, both pieces coming together beautifully. So this is a very timely question, and it has to do with the pandemic. So how has the pandemic reshaped your responsibilities and or your goals over this last year?
I'll go first because I have the easiest answer. Nothing really changed for me. I was raised in a military family. My dad was in the Army for 30 plus years, so I am super familiar with change and being adaptive. When the pandemic happened, I was in the care center and we had our go bags. We are used to bringing our laptops home and being able to be remote. So we were ready. As far as being home with my kids all the time, that was a welcome change for me. I enjoy it. I was feeling bad sometimes not spending as much time as I could with my kids, but I was all for it. So the pandemic happened, everything's good over here.
I would say reshape my responsibilities drastically. So I'm on the opposite side of Alexa, because of assuming the role of co-chairing our pandemic response. So it was a voluntold position, I would say. When we realized last February that this was very real and we needed to be prepared in an organized fashion, Steve Cribbs and I were asked if we would lead this together. And other than the fact that it was pretty scary, we will both tell you in hindsight that we're glad we had the opportunity to do it, because neither one of us had ever been in this position before. And so to have the chance to work on a project that was dynamic, there was no playbook. We have all heard the expression, you're building the plane while it's flying. That's the definition of everything we've done in the last 13 months. The rules were changing, the environment was changing, and people were legitimately scared for their own health, for the security of their family, for the security of their livelihood. So from a standpoint of responsibilities, it was a whole new undertaking. And at the same time, we had to keep our daily and our regular routine of making sure everybody got paid every 2 weeks, and that we kept people safe. So it was a real balancing act of do everything that you would typically do in a business year and all of those cycles, and at the same time keep an organization safe and moving forward and addressing everything that we had to as an essential business. So it's been a crazy year, and things have changed. My goals are still relatively the same though, and that is to ensure that we're delivering the best experience, hire to retire, to our Tompkins team members, and that will never change.
So, my life totally changed. I was getting ready for, my girls are all in sports, and we just had first week of tryouts. So my older daughter was going to be captain of the JV team for softball. My middle daughter was going to be doing track, and then my youngest daughter was going to be doing t-ball and soccer. So I was getting ready to be busy, busy, busy. That's my life is always on the go. We're always together, but we're always on the go. In the winter, we do a lot of the fundraising stuff. And then all of a sudden, everything just stopped, and all of our lives just stopped. I planned on going back to school this year. I was going to do online. And without knowing what was happening with my daughters, I decided not to. I was on a computer all day working. All three of my girls are home remote with me. My youngest will tell you that COVID was not such a bad thing because it brought us closer together, which I didn't fully understand until I took a step back. Like, we would go to games together. We would go to all these different places. But she doesn't want to be as busy when COVID's over, because we did spend more quality time together. My two older daughters got a lot closer, and it was nice to see them get closer. And now, like, I really want to go back to school and get my degree and everything, but it's not as big as a priority anymore as just spending the time with my kids. And just being with them right now. I mean, I'm young, so I still have time. My oldest will be going off to college, and she'll be a senior next year. So, you know, I still have time to go back if I want to. I'm lucky I have a good job at Tompkins that, you know, I'm in IRAs and HSAs. I go to classes. I have certifications now. Like, I'm able to go forward at the moment without a degree. So I'm very lucky that I fell into my spot and they took a chance on me. I had no experience, but my goals and responsibilities, I mean, it's going to start picking back up now, so I'm kind of hoping it goes to normal, but it's been really difficult. The pandemic has really changed our lives, huge. And I mean, I have to be a teacher. I have to make sure my kids get their work done. It's just, everything changed. And trying to be mom and trying to work is very difficult. You know, everyone always says you're lucky you get to work from home. It's really not easy. It's really not easy to work at home. So we're just, you know, we're just getting through it. My responsibilities, I'm just like, okay, I got work going on. We have big projects. We had a huge training. It's just my coworker and I, and that was hard to do. We would go on site, so we had to come up with webinars to do, learn how to do WebEx and do presentations, and it's been a challenge, but it's been nice. But my goals definitely have changed, and just my outlook on everything has changed, because everything can change in the blink of an eye. Just hold people tighter, and really just have compassion for everyone. That's the main thing. So many people are struggling, so I just try to reach out to people. I find that as a responsibility of mine, is just to reach out and say hi to people. Because I'm so used to being needed, and at the moment I'm not fully needed because everyone's home. So it's more mental responsibility now than physical, moving and chaotic lifestyle. So it's been difficult.
Great. Thank you all for sharing your different perspectives. Again, before I go to my questions, I don't see any hands up. There's no questions in the chat, so I just want to make sure that we're covering all bases here. Okay. All right, so the next question that we have here is, what advice would you give to someone just starting out in their career?
So I'll start first on that, Stacy, largely because I'm the oldest one on the panel, so I have the biggest perspective on it. Lots of time to think about this. So regardless of man or woman, what I would advise anybody starting out in their career is to learn about the business. It's really important, no matter who you're working for, whether it's profit or nonprofit, is to come to have a really clear understanding as to how they make money. Because it is the one common denominator, profit or nonprofit, you've got to have money. And when you understand how they make money, how do they function, and you can speak the language of the business, then you're in a stronger position to combine the business itself with your education and the experience that you bring in order to add value to that organization and to your role. And that's the thing that differentiates performance. That's the thing that differentiates individuals from each other, is that ability to add value. And I think as often as I can advocate, and I will stand on a soapbox with the best of them and advocate for things for employees, I am more effective when I can put it in the language of Tompkins and our values, and what does it mean for our clients, and how does that work in our various structures of insurance and wealth and banking, and to tie those pieces together. So I think the bottom line is get to know the business, get to know the language, and put your skills, your education, your knowledge in partnership with the business. And that's key to success.
I
You
just
guys,
want to
oh,
add,
go ahead.
Benita, well, I think we were around the same age, but when when I first started in banking, and maybe when you were in different things in HR, but years ago, the banking class was one of the first classes that as a trainee you were expected to take, so that you could learn, is exactly what you said, the language of banking. And then from there, so I have to say that I absolutely agree. If you know the language of banking, and of course our affiliates, that's a good start, because then you can speak the language and feel more confident when you do talk about things. So, I wish they would bring back those days that as a new employee into the industry, that you take a banking class and, talked about all sides of it. So that's a recommendation I have for HR.
So for some of you, Stacy added in the chat room, Principles of Banking. That's actually a course that's available through the New England College of Business. It is a 3-hour for credit course, and anybody within the first year of their career can take the class for free. It's like I said, it's an online college class, and it's rigorous, but every chance I get, I encourage people who are new to the industry to take this course. So it's such good advice, Deb.
Yes, back in the day, it was through CFT, Center for Financial Training. Stephanie's shaking her head yes, so she's been through. And when I went through it, we met in the evenings. So it was 2 hours in the evening, and we did it over a course of, I don't remember how many weeks. It's been 24 years, but however many times it took us to meet to go through the program, But it was huge. It was a huge help in understanding how everything connects and works together. So it's great advice. Alexa, did you want to make any comment on this question?
I was, but Benita stole my answer again. But just to echo what Benita said, never stop learning. Always continue to, I guess, build on your knowledge base. There's always room for improvement, for thoughts, for ideas and opportunity. 3 great ways to build your knowledge center is maybe go back to school, maybe take a class or get a mentor, or get involved in different groups where you can grow from other people's knowledge spaces.
Excellent. Mentors are fantastic. If you don't have one, get one. They are great. So we've got about 9 minutes left, and I want to close us up with this question. Unless other people have questions, and feel free to ask. But in what ways have you chosen to challenge either yourself or women's equality at work or your community, basically in your space around you? How have you chosen to challenge women's equality? Since our theme tonight is choose to challenge, I feel like that's a good way to wrap us up. Oh, Benita, you're on mute. There we go. Whoop, you're on mute. You're good. Nope. Okay, right there.
The mouse has a mind of its own. I said, I'm going to go last. I'm going to let Alexa go before me because I don't want to take her answer.
I think in my environment, in my community, I bring attention to just like the education piece of the equal pay and the wage gap. Like, it was something that I made sure that was a discussion in certain groups. And my mom, when I was a teenager, made me join this women's organization group many, many years ago. And it was just business and professional women. And the conversations were different. Just the way that they empowered each other, and they were like teammates and mentors. Like, it was just about making sure that if her crown was tilted, you fixed her crown or you put a crown on her head. So in my little corner of the world, I just, make sure that younger people than myself are informed, that they're doing their research and doing their homework, and they're learning about equal pay and the wage gap, and they are constantly chasing that glass ceiling. That's all I got. I'll leave it there.
Heather, do you want to comment on this one? Or Benita, go ahead.
I'm still
Let Heather
trying to
go
think.
first.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think still how to word it.
I would say that I see part of my role is to look at things with a very and look and hear for things with a very critical eye and ear, because I will see things and point out, whether it be in our business or in other places I've worked, from the perspective of a professional woman. I like look at advertising, and it surprises me how often you'll look at something and you'll go, do you realize everybody in that ad is male, or that there's nobody of color in that component, that ad, or that photo or something like that. So I part of my role, I think, has always been one of looking at things with a critical eye and finding a way to politely but candidly point out what other people may have missed. And the second thing that I like to do is to support women's activities, women's organizations in our community that support other women. And, you know, as an example, we had a couple of years ago, we had a HR all-day conference that Stacy's familiar with. And so one of the things that I thought would be helpful and was able to get a nucleus of people to work on this was to have all the participants come and bring business clothing that they no longer wore, because there's an organization in town that gives that away to women who are returning to the job market, and they don't have the business attire for either to interview in or perhaps the first week of work and those types of things. So I try to approach it in the community from the standpoint of what organizations are supporting women and how can I support them? How can I lend the skills that I have to support their clientele or the folks in those organizations?
I still don't really have anything.
That's okay.
It's just, I mean, mainly just be yourself. Don't change, don't adapt to what is expected of you. Because we're all individuals, you know, we're all different, we're all unique. Be yourself. Don't change for someone else. So someone else would like you or accept you.
That is great advice. Heather, thank you for sharing. And thank you for all three of our panelists for being courageous and brave and sharing your thoughts with us this evening. Does anybody have any other question that they would like to ask before we close it out and move on to whatever's next on our agendas for the night? And hopefully it's not too strenuous for anyone. No, not seeing any hands go up, nothing in the chat, nobody coming off mute.
I just want to say thank you. I think it was a good hour, and I'm glad I signed on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
And thanks to the DIBS team who had this idea and organized it. I know that there's a cadre of volunteers behind you, so thank you very much to all of them.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. This is a great way to honor Women's History Month as we start to bring this month to a close. So many amazing stories and such great advice from other women across the organization. So I would just encourage you all, you know, take the opportunity to sit down and just have a conversation, get to know one another, get to understand what people's talents are, what their successes are, and what their challenges are, because you never know. You might be able to offer a piece of advice that could help them get through something and be that much stronger on the other side. So thank you so much again for your time this evening. It was a true pleasure, and we hope that you join us again for a future event. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.